It's my pleasure to introduce to you all today an old friend and a renowned influencer, Neha Kare Kanabar, who is also a well known manifestation coach. Neha shot to fame as a founder of UNIMO, which stands for Universe of Moms, arguably one of the world's largest community of digitally connected mothers, with the current strength of over 5 lakh moms on Facebook and WhatsApp, spread across 22 cities in the world. This community was founded by Neha in 2014. UNIMO strives to make me time meaningful for moms. This accredited platform works towards opinion building, consensus formation, advertising, strategic brand promotions, and most of all, towards uplifting the entire motherly state of affairs. Neha is a rock star mom herself of twin boys and is also all of the following: the current CMX Connect host for Mumbai, global lead for FB Community Leadership Circles, FB Blueprint certified badge holder as a community manager, Blueprint certified digital marketing associate, and EQ2 certified professional, member of the Power Admins group of Facebook, qualified engineer with a management postgraduate, and a VP with Early Child Association. Some of her knockout awards worthy of a mention are ET Young Newsmakers of India 40 under 45 in 2021, Brand Congress Young Learning Leader of India 2015, winner of Power Women Awards 2017, Lions Club Philanthropy Award 2018. Neha has 16 years of rich corporate experience in digital marketing and sales training. Her philanthropy work is UFF, Unimo Freedom Fighter, through which she drives change at the ground level by adopting orphanages and conducting drives around pertinent social causes. Her inspiring story has been covered by multiple media platforms, and she is considered the most trusted voice in the space of parenting and community building. Neha, welcome to my humble platform. I am possible and smart, inspired by my daughter Kia's spirit to live, where we connect heart to heart and speak on matters that matter.
Anisha, it's my pleasure. And in fact, off the camera, when we were talking about how we met, and it's so wonderful to see you again. And I think you were among the first few members we had in the community. So it's always a pleasure to meet others like you.
Thank you so much, yeah, for honoring my request and acknowledging the fact that we need to talk about this subject of inclusivity and empathy in our society. You're running a community which is huge, and you're doing it fantastically. I've been watching you over the years, and Neha, somewhere I feel that when you have the responsibility of administering a community, these kind
Yeah.
of conversations become also a part of it. I wanted to invite your insight on how social media as a space, and you as an admin of a large, women's community on FB, uh, find inclusivity or the lack of it in the environment, because we feel that the virtual world is very, very inclusive, right? It doesn't have any geographical boundaries. But what's your insight into?
Monisha, you raised a very, very relevant conversation around inclusivity because even if you don't talk about SMA or health as a area, overall, I think inclusivity involves fostering an environment where everyone feels valued. They also feel respected. They are able to participate fully. So I think overall, as citizens of this country, we should drive inclusivity as a major agenda. Of course, the domains might change when we have conversations like this, where we're talking about SMA to anything, even talking about a caste, creed, religion. Everywhere inclusivity is the mantra to, coexist, and that's the way we can grow together. So I think first it starts by valuing each other's presence, such that you don't live in a silo saying, अरे हमारे साथ तो नहीं हो रहा ना, या हमारे known लोगों में तो नहीं हो रहा, it's not impacting me. I think it starts by first understanding that there is something like this and which exists in the same ecosystem where you exist. Second, then having a respect or a little compassion for a person who's going through that. As you rightly mentioned, that there can be any day that you just get up in morning and then you'll discover your life has changed 360 degree and you don't know for what reason. And are you
And
prepared for it? Have you been compassionate, empathetic towards others who are going through it? Because I understand when we say that, bhaiya, unke shoes mein reh ke dekho. It's not easy to, really step into someone's shoes and understand. Of course,
stop.
it's a great proverb because what they are in, you can only understand when you are a partner in that journey with them. The only
Mm.
thing what we can do is we can, have some open dialogues around it. We can educate ourselves on what's happening. Like when I agreed to have a conversation with you on this, the only agenda I had in mind was that I learn about this more. I'll understand what are the challenges that certain groups face and how to be more sensitive towards their needs. Other than that, the only thing I will speak from my space is, Monisha, that God has been kind. I've been fortunate to be this bridge between mothers and, the voice
Mm.
I want to, raise. So I think if as an influencer, as a community builder, if I can contribute or put in my points ahead or understand certain issues and then put it forward, I think more people can hear me, more people can listen my voice.
Absolutely.
I think I've got that microphone, so I think I should use it to the, optimum. And
Love.
inclusivity is not a choice, it's not an option, it's a must. I think we
Mm.
all should be looking at it very positively. And as a community builder, I do in and out. Like I'm managing 5,50,000 mothers and speaking to at least 400 of them, in a week's time. So
Mm.
each one of them come with a different story. Am I able to understand? Am I able to empathize with their journey? Am I able to include them in the group I am? I don't know if I'm doing justice to it, but every day I have to make sure that I'm progressing towards it. I'm making a little more tiny step, ahead, such that when I look back, I know that I've made an effort. I think
Mm.
as a person, I always talk about, don't worry about results, but make sure your efforts are, 100%. Do your best and then leave up to God to do the rest.
Right.
But are you doing your best? So that's something which I feel
Absolutely.
has driven me. And thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
It's a pleasure, Neha, and that's what I wanted to share with you in this conversation that, my life was absolutely normal. Okay, now, whatever that means. My daughter was,
Yeah.
the second daughter was born, right? And then I hadn't heard of any disease. So obviously, like everybody else, I was in a very comfortable space going about my life, had a job, 9 to 5, driving around in the traffic of Bombay and doing just what everybody does, right? Trying to get a better life accomplished for the family. But the day, you have this breakdown in your machinery, it doesn't just affect a member of the family medically, it affects practically every aspect of your life. So the marriage goes out of the window, eventually the job goes out of the window. It's easier to say that I'm a single parent of 2 girls today, but it's probably the most difficult thing that anybody can think of, because it's just not two normal children. It is a normal child on one hand and a child who's suffering from a debilitating, progressive, life-threatening disease. And, it's considered terminal for many, many years, but suddenly you have a disease cure which has come out, but that runs into crores. And in a country where, the social fabric is not so soft, it's not such a cushion. The government of the country says, dear mother, I don't care whether you're single, double, how big your family is, how affluent or non-affluent, you are, but this is a treatment. It runs into crores. Please go out there and crowdfund. And the next meaning that I understand in the days following is crowdfunding is considered as open begging. And the reason why I'm persisting to continue to move forward is today I've realized that when life of 4 people in my family could get affected to such an extent, if I don't reach out and talk about it, there would be others who will have to walk my shoes, and they will land
True.
up, crying in their in their closed, behind their closed doors. So since it's the
Yeah.
awareness
Yeah.
month, I wanted to speak about that for a few minutes.
Sure.
Spinal muscular atrophy is a neurogenetic disorder, right? So you don't really have to wait till you have conceived the child. You can actually screen for diseases like muscular dystrophy or spinal muscular atrophy, which are the life-threatening, the variety of diseases. At the time of actually choosing or, wanting to start a family, all it takes is a simple blood test to figure out if you and your partner are both carriers of that disease. 1 in 40 people walking the planet
Mm.
Earth are actually carriers of SMA. That's how frequent the disease can be. So if two carriers are marrying, there is a 50% chance that the child is an SMA carrier. The child can be SMA free, but the child will be an SMA carrier, which means that you might have an absolutely normal life
Yeah.
with your child. The child will have a normal life, but when that child gets married, her child can land up with this disease. So you need to screen even before you start having a family nowadays. That's how important it is. Out of that remaining 25% and 25%, 25% chances that the child will have SMA, and only 1/4 or 25% chance that your child is absolutely SMA free. So if you ask me how that correlates to my family, I am an SMA carrier. My daughter Kare, who's 13 years old, is an SMA affected child who is diagnosed with SMA type 2, which is the second severe form of the disease. And my eldest, is probably an SMA carrier. I have not had the guts to get her blood tested, honestly. It takes a lot of mental strength to figure out, whether the only person who's not affected visually also is a carrier or can have SMA, because SMA can have it, can happen at any stage of your life. It doesn't have to happen at birth. It can happen in a few years into birth, to a few years into your 20s, into a few years into your 30s and 40s. So that's how you have SMA type 1, type 2, type 3. Type 4 incidence is increasing. I'm not sure why, what is the genetic cause of it, but the doctors and the experts say it's lifestyle oriented. Our genetic mutations are sort of degrading over the generations. And somewhere we can't do anything about it, but what we can do is to prevent it by screening at family planning level. There are treatments, but these treatments are running into crores. So for example, I'm crowdfunding for 1 crore a year, right? And I've been asked to do that for the rest of my daughter's life, to be able to give her a drug called risdiplam. But there are severe forms where you have to go crowdfund for 16, 17 crores worth of a single injection, while, right, to save a child with SMA type 1. And if you have type 3, type 4, there are, various other drugs, but all of them are today classified as the most expensive diseases, treatments in the world today. Nobody should want to get into this. And hence, I feel getting into spaces, talking about it is a little important, because what will happen at the end of the day, maybe I will not be able to make it to my finishing line with trying to get my daughter's treatment. I might not be able to extend her lifeline, but I would have, my voice would have reached through you, or you would have spoken about it somewhere, and we can reach multiple number of people who can be prevented from actually landing up on this side of the fence, because it is preventable. We don't have to really feel that, oh, we're lucky, it will not happen to us. Trust me, the rate of incidence is so high that even doctors are fascinated today that why is it that people are not talking about it, and why are people not talking about it at the government level, especially when diseases are so difficult to cure and they're so expensive to manage, right? But in a small way, if I can start, and other parents like me can start, I think we can reach across multiple thousand other parents, and make this a parenting topic, because I think somewhere it is a parenting topic. So Neha, that's the awareness part of the disease. I'm not sure how much of it you knew.
As I shared with you that Manusha, my Masi's son, has
Hmm.
suffered to first muscular dystrophy, and I know about his journey because I've been with him since the beginning, and we just lost him 2 years back. I think, going more specific with you was more helpful, because then I understand that what exactly happens. And today I discovered that it's preventable. Like, my cousin was 25, I think, the time when he was detected with this disease. He was 2.5, and that time there was nothing available,
Nothing.
not even any literature, no communities. My Masi and Mausaji, being a doctor, they were struggling to find people who can talk
Right.
to them. Even there was no internet at that level, no global
Yeah.
connections. They were trying to identify doctors in US, UK, but they were not. They were totally helpless. Today, I think we are still in a better time, Monisha, where we can have
Yes.
open dialogues like this. You can reach out to the advocates who are passionate about raising awareness of this. You are talking to doctors, organizations. You also told me you guys have created a beautiful community. I think it's time that we have collaboration between these communities. Mine per se is, of course, when you look at it, for you it looks like more like a larger community of mothers coming together. But per se, we are not a parenting community, we are a mothers community. So we also create a niche within our community. So why not to collaborate with communities like yours, and also make subgroups of parenting communities where
That brings me to, a simple question, Neha. Leave alone these large debilitating diseases, right? So muscular dystrophy being one, spinal muscular atrophy being another. These are pocket diseases which people probably haven't heard about. But as a regular exercise, and I'm sure autism, Down syndrome, and other, differently able communities are prevalent more in numbers. How often have you experienced, parental discussions, or mothers discussing, their issues openly on social media? Do you feel that sense of freedom exists amongst the parents? Do they accept it mentally to come out with these with these questions in mind, or if they don't know something about a particular condition, do they come and ask about it openly in a community like yours?
One is our mothers coming out and discussing it or accepting it rather. I'll tell you about an incident which happened. I think 7 years back in my community, I had a volunteer in my community who used to help us run the community. And generally, these volunteers were very close to us because we used to meet them more often. They used to come with
Yeah.
their kids. So we more or less knew कि किसका बच्चा कितने बच्चे हैं, किस age के हैं and all that. But then this girl used to always, bring in her son to these meetups, and we knew that she has only one son. But
Hmm.
after some time, I think after a year and a half, we came to know that she also has a younger daughter who's suffering from, a rare disease, and she never wanted her to be even,
Oh.
known to the world that she has a daughter like that. So I don't know if she was coming from a place of shame, or she was little scared. I would not judge that woman because she might be having her own battles to fight there.
Hmm.
But then
Hmm.
eventually we were surprised that, someone who was so close to our community, if we do not know about her life and what she was going through,
Right.
leave apart the other 500,000 mothers we are talking to, you don't know who's going through what. And fortunately now, because social media has become so active, conversations are happening, people are sharing content, visual content is, out there. So I see a lot of women now accepting and coming forward, in fact more than accepting, taking that lead to generate awareness, like how you did. You told
Hmm.
me that, some years you were also quiet, you were also busy, you were also
Absolutely.
doing your things, and of course being a single mom, it's not easy to, run your household and then have one kid, two kids rather. So what happens is, the day you decide that you want to create this awareness and you will lit the torch, or hold the torch. Similarly, a lot of women per se are coming out in our community, but there are a lot of threads which are around diseases, around autism, around special kids. But unfortunately, all these threats come to us in an anonymous post, Monisha, which is
I've
very
seen that.
unfortunate. But I'll still give kudos to Facebook, because Facebook has given us an anonymous button. Now the beauty of this
Hmm.
anonymous button is that mothers can express their heart out, share their concern, talk to us, talk to a fellow mom. And they also have a lot of trust in these admins like us, who know who they are, so we can see the identity, the members can't. So somewhere they've shown that trust in us, that we are okay sharing our names with you, but we are not okay to tell the world we are going through this, but give us a solution. So I think kudos to these mothers who are sharing on anonymous also, because at least they now are
They've taken the
exposing,
first
which
step.
otherwise
Hmm.
was not there. Yeah,
Hmm.
otherwise there
Hmm.
was a taboo. I would say still a second step, Monisha, because mothers always wanted to do something. Yeah, I'm sure a rural woman who's sitting in a village and going through the same kind of ailment or disease also wants to do something about it, and she also tries to educate herself on this.
Hmm.
Like they have their own panchal, they have their own punch, they have their own network. Through that, they also learn about these challenges, what their kids are going through. They also become sensitive to each other. Still in that space, promoting open dialogue was something which as a community we were always doing, but mothers were not coming in front. They were not
Hmm.
talking about the domestic violence they were going through,
Yes.
a special child they had in the house. They were not talking about issues which matters to them and which was really playing on top of their mind. Now I would say that we are in a good time. At least science is you told me that the expense is worth crores, but I'm still happy that there is a cure
Some
which has been
solution.
identified,
Yes.
something, some
Hmm.
ray of hope. Of course, today it's not affordable. I'm sure soon our government, our scientists will make sure that it comes in the affordable range also, and we all
Hmm.
pray for that. At the same time, I want mothers to, do something about it more than just writing a post now. Are we
Hmm.
really addressing biases around it? Are we recognizing and confronting our own biases? Are
Hmm.
we okay to put our name to that and telling the world that, dude, I'm going through this? Can that's a step three, wherein and mothers who are commenting on it, mothers who are participating in that conversation, are you just participating in that conversation because you're not going through this and you do not really know what's happening, or you're
Hmm.
acknowledging and actively also dedicating yourself or dedicating some time to work around that space? Like a lot of
Right.
mothers come to Manisha and they say, we want to work in the social space, we want to do a
Hmm.
CSR, what you're driving. but when it comes to execution, how many of them turn up? That's also
Hmm.
important. Like when I do a party, I get all sold out on day two. But when I do a
Hmm.
social drive, I have to strive hard to get them to donate even a 200 rupee or a 500 rupee.
I
Are we really walking the talk? I doubt, because a lot of us want to do good things, we want to give back to community, but when it comes to giving back, you're not really doing much. And
Hmm.
it's not only money that you have to give. You can give your time. I think money is the easiest when it comes to you contributing to a cause. I think
Hmm.
money is the easiest way to contribute to a
Absolutely.
cause. So if there are people who are listening to our conversation and they still want to do something for the community, start by donating. That's also great. Even if you're making noise about it on social media saying that I've donated for this cause, it's still okay if you're donating. I will never judge a person like they say कि दूसरे हाथ को भी खबर नहीं होना चाहिए when you donate. No, please go ahead, donate, and
Hmm.
in fact talk about it so that others get inspired by you. They see you doing it
Hmm.
and they'll get inspired to do the same. So nobody's judging you there. If you
Right.
feel like you can contribute more, because see, crowdfunding, how crowdfunding was given birth to, because every individual can do can't really contribute beyond their own capacity, but if everybody comes together, revolution happens. That's the
Hmm.
magic of coming together. So if each one of us contribute 500 rupees to a cause wherein the
Hmm.
person in need is in need, we can create a very huge difference. Wherein if we are just thinking about it and not really taking the first step also,
Hmm.
I think it's just a good idea, and everybody has good ideas. So do
Right.
not give us your ideas. The world has enough of it already.
It's so nice to hear a taskmaster break it down systematically, right? That's what you're doing. You're seeing a problem, you're
Yeah.
identifying it, you're trying to break it down to ensure that it gets injected into the system. But I'll tell you two or three things. One of the reasons why people stay anonymous is because they feel that they will not be accepted for coming forward and shouting it out. That is one. The level of acceptance or what one thinks, right, is still somewhere in the uh, let's say 2 generations behind.
Yeah.
If these communities that we are creating in the process of structuring can also create self-help groups where you can get into. There are a lot of chat options I've seen, FB groups
Yeah.
have, right? And I've not yet seen a single chat group which says we are discussing mental health, we are discussing, let's say, issues with rape victims or child abuse or domestic abuse. Somewhere we are not really using the full potential of the medium. Because these are problems which need to be addressed very, very systematically. Because if it persists, that person can damage their mind to their body to commit suicide to God knows what all can happen from there. An individual's life is tied to 4 others in their family. It's not, you're not living in a silo, at least in your own family, right? So I feel WhatsApp communities are great. But what happens is when you keep posting in a WhatsApp group, and this is what I feel technically is wrong with that medium, is that when you get injected into a group, whatever has happened before, you can never see the
You'll have no
conversation.
idea about.
You have
Yeah,
no
you'll have
idea.
no
You
idea.
you have no idea. The
So,
communication gets lost in the threads. It's a very confusing space for me.
Monisha, what we do in our community,
Hmm.
I think you again don't know about this tool, which is
Huh.
very active. In fact, you'll
Hmm.
love it. All these posts, which are very, I would say, very famous post, or very engaging post, or something which is drawing a lot of attention. Those posts, now Facebook has given us an option that we can convert that post into a chat. I think that's a wonderful feature, and I think you talk to a lot of social media people also, so you can always ask them to create a chats within that space. What we do, like we do
Hmm.
it more around broader topics, but I
Hmm.
think you very well raised that why can't we go very specific, very aligned, that on this day we can create conversations around a specific, say, disease, or say return to work, whatever it can be, any topic specific, and having more conversations around it. And people on Facebook are larger number you're touching in, so you can have people that excess of going in and coming out of the group without being judged,
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
contribute the way they want to do.
And
Monisha, have you ever thought why everybody is not involved, and why these are your personal stories
hmm.
which has a larger impact, but they are your personal stories.
Right.
See, what I've gone through, like you and I both are working women, but I think what I have gone through in my corporate career would be very different from yours. So I have a very different personal story to share. Like I can talk about twins. Like it's not easy to raise twins, but you have not seen that. You have raised two kids on different time. So you'll not
Exactly.
understand what I went through. So it's time that individuals who are going through these unique experiences, good, bad, ugly,
Hmm.
have to share their real life stories.
Hmm.
Personal narratives, I think, can evoke empathy, They will help people connect emotionally and with the issue also. I really love that you have taken this initiative to initiate this conversation. You are there in my community since 6 years. I want to ask you back, why have you never initiated that conversation in my community? So onus is on everyone.
Exactly.
Like when my Masi's son
Exactly.
was going through it, I was struggling with it in silo with my Masi on different platforms. Why was I not communicating about it on my platform? Mothers, I think, per se, are very compassionate. Like when I know about Kia now, I'm equally compassionate to her because as a mother, I can understand what you're going through. Like I really salute my Masi being a fantastic mother of, the way she has raised her son and the way she has really fought all these years. I personally feel that it's time to create that awareness and letting the person in front know what you're going through.
Right.
Also about educating. See, not frankly, I had to Google what SMA is. Being a community leader, being
Right.
an influencer in space, being talking to doctors in and out, I do not know what SMA is. How do I hold one of my community mother responsible that she's not creating enough awareness? She doesn't even know it exists, Monisha. Can we create more conversation? Can we create more education around it, more awareness around it by having our personal narratives told? These personal narratives come to us only in the form of crowd raising
Yeah,
messages,
crowdfunding stories. Yeah.
yeah, that is, and you mentioned it very well that today people feel like these are begging messages, though they're not. Because people who have put in that message, I think it takes a lot of courage to even draft a message like that. Understand the pre process of it. We just see the post of it. But then I would say that can't we just separate both the conversations of crowdfunding and first start with a personal narrative. First
Exactly.
start with that. I'm also a marketer, so I'm sorry for putting it into the marketing light of it.
No, you
But then
should
we
actually.
people to engage with it, Monisha. So we
Hmm.
want people to engage with it. For that, let's find a hook. The
Hmm.
hook is emotion. The hook
Hmm.
is emotion. And after emotion, there has to be inspired action. So can
Hmm.
we then put up an action that, dude, now
Absolutely.
XYZ are the ways you can help us. So
Absolutely.
this is my story. This is what other people are also going through. These are mothers who are going through the same experience. Now A, B, C are the ways how all of you who are watching us can help us. What
Hmm.
way you want to choose. So every mother should take that responsibility who's watching that
Absolutely.
live to say, I will pick up A because that's easier for me. I can definitely contribute. The other one will say I can create more awareness about it. The C
Hmm.
one can say maybe I will come and work with you in this space. I can volunteer.
Hmm.
Whatever you have, just give that. God has given you enough.
Yeah.
So just come forward and be grateful that you've heard that story and you're able to contribute. Otherwise,
Right.
we all want to give back to community. We don't know how to and where to give back.
Exactly.
This is our
Exactly.
opportunity to give back.
One of the reasons, Neha, I am talking to you today is to actually figure out a solution, for this approach, right? And like you rightly asked, 7 years, I didn't know what to do because it takes time to process everything, right? You don't know social media, the space, completely. You don't know how flexible it is. What are the, places it can reach, obviously, and you were not reaching out to anybody for any kind of help because you were told it's a terminal disease. You have to live with it. So you were busy trying to make the most of the time that was left. But today,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
people need the help of the village to raise your child, and it's not just a normal child that needs the help of the village, sometimes it is even a child who's, slowly progressing into a terminal condition. I think that is where social media as a space is so, so powerful today, right? It gives us the tools and people like you, the fact that you and me are talking and I can take this message that you're sharing with me across to my community and I can tell them that, you know what, I had a conversation with Neha and she just broke it down to make it simple because she didn't classify this as a rare case or a not so rare case, something that affects or not affects, but she said that this is a problem solving that can be done together. Trust me, people will come forward and they will start opening up, at least from the communities which are closed up. Likewise, people who are listening to you within your community will also say, oh, wow, our admin actually thinks about everything, right? She's not just talking about, a space where we can have fun with our children or our me time, but she's also focused on these, very, very specific, hard hitting issues in the society. And she's able to break it down. The moment they see that acceptance, they will say, yes, you know what, let me at least come out. Because somewhere I feel we block our own paths because we think that we will not be accepted. One of the reasons why the post goes anonymous is because we think the name will not be
Yeah.
accepted along with the problem. And the problem is very, very personal. It cannot come out in the space. The moment we have these conversations, trust me, we will feel like a family. We will feel like a group of friends who are virtually connected. And that is what it is. It doesn't matter how many mothers are there. or how large and small the community is, we can all become a fantastically symbiotic community which is able to do everything together. And that is what I feel the social media can help us all do, right? Because it has the power. Nobody is taking that power away. It is only getting more and more power technologically. And one of the reasons why I call it the I Am Possible and the SMART campaign is because obviously knows what I Am Possible means. But SMA is spinal muscular atrophy, and A stands for acknowledgement, R stands for your rights, and T stands for
Okay.
technology. Okay. So one of the
Wow.
reasons why I am doing this, because a lot of people do not include technology in the whole process, right? Keep
Oh,
aside social media. You think that, oh, I can post it only on my family WhatsApp group, but I can't post it in a social media group. I can't post it here. So people do have their self-developed filters, and I don't know why. Today, like you rightly said, crowdfunding is not, it's a professional approach. The government has sort of made it legal. I don't know if you've heard of this term called busking. To any place abroad, you'll see an individual either dancing, performing some sort of a skill, either
okay.
dancing or
Visual arts.
some sort of, they do it on the
Okay.
road, right? They play the piano or they sing a song, and people consider that to be an act of collecting money, but it is actually not. They're performing the talent, or they're trying to do it for a
Okay.
purpose, right? They're trying to create
Yeah.
awareness.
But
Busking is
in
becoming
Western countries, we see it more.
yes, exactly. And you see people coming out on the road with something they feel very strongly about, some skill they are very close to. And you'll see the whole public space becoming a performance space, right, of all sorts.
Yeah. Yeah.
So your
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
normal walk in the park or on the pavement becomes very interesting because you'll see somebody who's playing a fantastic piece of music. And those folks have the largest YouTube followers on the planet today, okay?
In Mumbai, they are doing it in Nariman Point now on Sundays. If you go on Sunday
Yeah.
morning, they are doing it.
Kala
Yeah.
Ghoda mein kitna hota? You go to the Kala Ghoda festival,
Yeah.
you'll see lots of people doing it,
Yeah,
right?
but
So
that's like only during the time of festival.
exactly. So it's not very open here. Busking is actually a rave that's caught on in different parts of the world, and in our country we don't
Yeah.
do it because we are scared of just coming out publicly, right? कि आप नाचोगे तो बंदर
Yeah.
तारी की तरह भी भीख दे के आपको निकल. This is what my daughter tells me. My elder daughter tells me. She tells me, "Ma, why don't we do a book narration? Because Kia has just won a national award for a book, right? Recently in March." She's made a little mark for herself because a lot of people thought she's not going to be able to do anything in her life, but she's written a very nice book. I'll send you a copy of this. And she was
Wow.
saying, "Ma, instead of getting invited for any narration, why don't we go to the Kala Ghoda festival which is happening in Jan, and set up a little place and read out the story that Kia has written. Maybe it'll touch people's hearts, and we can get an audience." So people need to actually start owning up a public space for causes or for skills, or and not be afraid of what the other person is going to conceive, right? Society is far away from it, but if today I am doing something in my space, trust me, in the social media space or in the virtual space, one can call it busking. That's what I'm doing. I'm trying to create awareness. At the same time, I'm trying to fundraise. At the same time, I'm trying to show off that yes, we are also parents of talented children. And I don't know whether the society is ready to accept this or no, but I'm okay with it. I'm okay with
Yeah.
taking the downside and the upside of it. But as long as some purpose is solved, some positive purpose is solved, that okay, 5 other people are hearing or 50 other people are hearing, we're okay with it. You never know where things are going to lead. I wish it was all about just crowdfunding, collecting money, and that was it. Injected into the society as inspiring stories. Create awareness about the disease rather than saying, this is the campaign.
Also working very closely with parents of Down syndrome, the PODS group, and we work very closely. I recently organized an annual function. I was the chief guest there, and we saw these kids dancing and celebrating
It's
it on the
beautiful.
stage. I think that's a beautiful medium because these visuals are deeply moving. When you see it happening there, I think it's not just beautiful; it's also the talent which comes across. It's
And you
also,
don't feel
of
sad.
course,
You
yes,
don't
yes,
feel
yes.
sad. You feel
And
so
even if
happy.
you'll feel sad
Hmm.
it will drive action, which is
Yeah,
great, and this is what is required, because
yeah,
then only you'll be moved that this kind of talented kids are going through what they
absolutely.
shouldn't.
Neha, this is all I wanted to share today. Very honestly, happy stories.
Yeah.
This podcast series is full of them. You should listen to it, and I hope I get to share this with the community members as well. Bring you to this last question of this long short session, is that if you had to identify two things, okay, two things to make your community more inclusive, from these angles that we just discussed, right, where it encompasses people from all walks of life, whether it is so-called depressing, not so depressing. What is it that you would want to do, Neha? Because I somewhere feel that if each of us are able to identify these little two things that we can do in the near future, then maybe we can start seeing that change.
Yeah, I think wonderful question, Monisha, and wonderful conversation. I think my last message here will be inspired to, take an action, because that's what I believe in and I do it. I think we have to make sure that we can balance our messages of hope, progress, and also potential together for creating this change. When I talk about hope, people like you who come on board and have conversation with us, it gives us a lot of hope that, there is a possibility that we can do, like you talked about screening. I think if we create awareness around that, we can have more and more people, stay on that side of the table. I think that'll be wonderful. When you talk about progress, I personally feel that, Manisha, the conversation what we are doing on your podcast is still great. I've seen your YouTube channel. You've created some wonderful content, but I think it's not reaching enough enough people. So I think more or less platforms like mine can help you reach a larger audience. I will share it with my team to create a calendar with you wherein you can come live oftentimes on our community to talk about it, because you'll always have something or new to talk about. I think that'll help us. And last thing is potential for change. I think overall, even if we don't look at only SMA, and if you look at everything per se, what you've been talking very passionately about, how can we drive as a community? How can we be a participative member for driving this change? Each one of us can contribute in our own way. We can invite and excite and motivate all these mothers to come and become those potential change makers. And how can they do it? We have to ask them. So we can conduct polls, we can do surveys, and ask them what do they feel. So these
Hmm.
kind of conversations, I feel as a community leader, I can promise you doing this, because this is something which I think is my way of giving back. When I talk about giving back,
Fantastic,
this
yeah.
is the way I can do it. That's a great start. And all the people who are watching us also, I think, even if you've liked this conversation, liked what we both spoke about, I think right now, after this entire conversation, we should all get up and promise one thing to ourselves, what we'll do to create this change.
Exactly. Somewhere again, I want to, sort of verify or clarify that though I'm fundraising for my daughter and it's a difficult task, I'm not only doing that. Okay, so please, if you do want to support a campaign for not just Kia, who's fighting SMA, but for any child or or any adult out there, trust me, it is an act of giving. It's not an act of begging. It's not an act of sympathy. I think somewhere there, inclusivity needs to shake hands with empathy, because if we can uplift each other, at all times of our
Agree.
lives, then the society is going to work beautifully,
And
right?
I'll also give a mantra to all the people who are watching us right now. I'm also a manifestation coach, primarily into money manifestation. And I always say that when you donate, you get 10x time more. So even if you're greedy for your own money, you want to earn great money, make sure you are donating to a cause you feel for.
Yes, yes.
We both are just advocating, saying that, we can provide you avenue, but you decide how you want to contribute, donate, or even
Absolutely.
get involved in kind of a channel, because that will mean a lot to us, mean the entire world to people like Monisha.
It's actually been so heartwarming to have this conversation with you, Neha. Far, if anybody has been able to systematically break it down and identify how to not treat this as a problem solving exercise, but actually take it, imbibe it as a part of your process of your daily life, you have been the only one who's been able to do it. So hats off to you, madam. What you're doing is so fantastic. So please take care of your health, okay, and live long, because we need people like you. Okay, we need fantastic leaders like you. And Neha, anything that I can ever do for you, I have a lot of strength in my vocal cords left. Everything else is pretty much drying up. But I love this conversation. And, thank you for giving me all the time that you could this afternoon. God bless you, Neha.
Thank you, Monisha. Thank you for making me a part of this. I think a lot of love
Thank
to
you.
Kea and to you, and salute to mothers like you. We need more mothers like you, Monisha. Thank you.
Salute to mothers like you, madam, for getting all mothers like us together.
Of course, to us, to us.